All right, guys, so we're going to talk about solving systems of equations by substitution. This is day 4 in your notes, which is, whoops, that always happens, page 15. So page 15 in the note packet. And here it goes over the steps, talking about getting one of the variables by itself first, and then plugging in or substituting. And I'm going to show you what that means. So here we have y is by itself. So we actually don't have to do anything in step 1 because y is already by itself. So y is equal to 2x. Right? And because y is equal to 2x, anytime we see a y, like right here, we can take this 2x and we can substitute it in for that other y. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take this equation here and we're going to replace it with the 2x in place of the y. So I still have an x, and then instead of the y, I have plus 2x equals 15. And we combine like terms. So 3x equals 15. And we solve for x. So now we divide by 3. And we get x equals 5. Now this is actually not my answer to the question yet. Because remember, what we're doing here is we're solving systems of equations, which, remember when we were graphing, we were finding, like the other days, we were finding the intersection point, right? And so remember that the solution to a system is written as an x, y coordinate point. So the fact that I solve for x and have x equals 5 is only telling me I know what the x is. I now have to plug it back in to find y. So I'm going to go back over to this equation where y is by itself already, and I'm just going to plug 5 in for x because I figured out that 5 is equal to x. So y is equal to 2 times 5, or y equals 10. Last step is make sure you take these two values and write them as a proper coordinate, so x comma y. So our solution would be 5 comma 10. Okay, so this is solving systems by substitution. So the idea here is we get one variable by itself, and once we have that variable by itself, we know what it's equal to on this side, and we take that side and substitute it in to the variable. So let's take a look at number 2. Similar example. The y is by itself, and it's equal to 3x. So we're going to take that 3x, and we're going to plug it in for the y. And when we do that, we have to use parentheses, because there's things attached to y over here. And there's a minus sign. So we have 3x minus 2, and then instead of the y, we put 3x in parentheses. And now we distribute. Combine like terms. And divide by the coefficient. So get x by itself. So we divide by -3. Divide by -3, and we get x equals -6. So I come back over here, and now I have to figure out what y is equal to. And I know y is equal to 3x. And so I plug in my x value, and I see that y is negative 18. And so my answer here, making sure I go in the correct order, x first, so negative 6, and then negative 18 is my coordinate point. Okay? So, the only difference in number 3 is that number 3 is not ready for substitution yet. So remember in question 2, the example, and question 1, the example, we already had y by itself. But if we look back up at the steps, step 1 is to get one of the variables by itself and then use substitution. Okay, we solve and then plug it back in to find the other variable. So in this number 3, this y is not by itself yet. But it looks like it's pretty easy by itself because all we would have to do is get rid of this. And this is a minus 2x. So to get rid of that, we're just going to add 2x to both sides. And that will give me y equals negative 1 plus 2x. Now that I have y by itself, I'm going to take this, which y equals. I'm going to remember to use parentheses and plug in to the y, whatever this is, and whatever this variable is. So 3x plus 4, and then immediately the parentheses. So minus 1 plus 2x. Equals 18. Now we distribute. So 3x, and then 4 times negative 1, we get a minus 4. And 4 times 2x, we're going to end up with a positive 8x equals 18. We can now combine like terms. I see a 3x, I see an 8x. That's 11x. They're both on the same side. And I'm going to combine my like terms again. This one's on opposite sides, so I have to do opposite operation. And continue solving until I get the x by itself. Oops, sorry. Do not divide by x there. We want to keep the x there. We want to divide by the 11. And we get x equals 2. So what do we do with this 2 once we get it? We plug it back in to this equation to find y. So y equals negative 1 plus 2x, and x is 2. So we plug 2 in for x. Okay, that's negative 1 plus 4, so y is equal to 3. And now I write my coordinate point. The solution is 2, 3. Okay. The other thing to mention here is that in all 3 examples, I ended up solving for y first and using that to plug in. But you don't have to do that. What you should do is you should get the easiest variable by itself first. And the easiest variable to isolate or to get by itself is the one with no coefficient. Right? No other coefficient than a 1, right? So if we look at this y has a coefficient of positive 2, this x has a coefficient of 3, this y has a coefficient of negative 4, this x, there's no coefficient written. So it's like a coefficient of 1. That's going to be the easiest one to get by itself. And so I want to get everything else away from it. So if this is minus 4y, I'm just going to add 4y. That gives me x is equal to negative 5 plus 4y. Now I have the x by itself. So when I go to plug in, I have to plug in for the x. So I'm going to plug that in right there for x. I get 3 parentheses negative 5 plus 4y plus, I got to continue with the rest of this equation, 2y equals 13. So distribute negative 15 minus 12y plus 2y equals 13. Combine like terms, these two are on the same side, so I'll just add them together as a negative 12y and a positive 2y would give me a negative 10y, and I still have a minus 15, which I can add to both sides. Oops, sorry, made a mistake. Hopefully you guys caught that mistake. I'm just going to erase this stuff. So that was my mistake right there. I don't know why I wrote a minus 12y, but that 3 times 4y should be a positive 12y. So hopefully I didn't mess you up too much there. Okay, now we can combine these like terms and we end up with 14y instead, and it's a positive 14y. And now when I add my 15 to both sides, I end up with 14y equals 28. So I divide by 14, and y equals 2. So remember, I now need to plug this back into the first equation. I already have x by itself, so I might as well use this equation where x is already by itself. It'll make it easier. X is equal to negative 5 plus 4y, and y is 2. So that means x is negative 5 plus 8, or x is 3. And we write it with correct coordinates. And you see how I messed that up there? So this time we got y first, but my x value is 3. And when I write a coordinate, it has to be x comma y. And so I have to start with 3 comma 2. So substitution method is just plugging in an expression, distributing, combining like terms, solving for one variable, taking that value, plugging it in, finding the other variable, and writing the coordinate point. That would be the solution. Okay? So that's actually all there is to these notes. And so for the rest of class, you guys can start working on your homework assignment. So 2.13, 2.13 is, or oh wait, I'm sorry, hold on. 2.12, I believe. Nope, I was right. 2.13. Yes, 2.13 is the stuff that we just did just now. So you're going to practice right now on the substitution method. So you're going to work through 2.13 homework. And if you do finish 2.13 homework, then you can have some time to go back and do any other homeworks like 2.12 or 2.11 or 2.10, any of those that you haven't submitted to Schoology yet. So Work through 2.13. Make sure you submit it to Schoology before you leave. It's solving these systems of equations. It's got all the steps to it, right? So like here, you're going to want to get that y by itself first, and then use substitution, right? Identifying the easy one to get by itself is the one without a coefficient, right? So on number 3, I would want to get x by itself, and so on. So you guys got those 3 problems to do after these notes. Hopefully you guys followed along with these notes. If you need to go back and look at something I was doing before, again, you can just skip around in the video. And you can let me know if you have any questions. I'm obviously not here right now, which is why I had to post a video for today's class. But you can always email me, or I will be in the Google Meet next class. All right, so that is solving substitution. And yeah, that's about it. I will hopefully see you guys soon. All righty.